Last time we had stopped at Whitehead's quotation, so we'll start from there. That's why Professor Whitehead has acutely remarked that the ages of faith are the ages of rationalism. The ages of faith are the ages of rationalism. So let's look at that because it's not very clear. I haven't looked at Whitehead's own, since our main target is to understand the thought of Iqbal, not Whitehead. But so faith. So let's say if faith is, by faith we mean a set of knowledge which is based on revelation, or at least its basic premises are based on revelation, and the ages of faith are the ages of rationalism. That's what he said. So by rationalism I guess the use of reason as the main source of knowledge or ultimate source. So why would ages of the faith would be the ages of reason? So the ages of faith are the ages of rationalism, not just reason, rationalism. I don't know, we don't even know whether it's true at the moment, faith, and you have rationalism. One way to understand this is we can think of faith as a set of knowledge which claims to be true. And if that is the case, if you have a faith of this sort, then you would like to do certain things. For example, you would like to rationally establish the truth of your beliefs so that people who don't have access to the revelation or don't believe in necessarily, they don't deny it, but since it didn't come to them, they don't necessarily partake in it or partake in its that faith based on revelation. So you rationally establish the truth of, so you try to explain rationally in a way in which others who don't share your faith can understand your argument. So one way faith, if this is the faith which makes a claim to reason, a claim to truth, then such a faith will try to rationally establish the arguments or the truth of your belief so that others can at least have a chance to either accept it or reject it. And if they accept it, that's fine, but it they reject it, they might make counter arguments, and then you would need to, counter those counter arguments. So that's one way you have, if you have a faith which makes claim to truth. And the second thing just followed from the first one, in the sense that those who don't believe in your set of beliefs, they might come up with objections. Not just objections to the reason you have put forward, but this is the second set of people who are actually objecting or trying to make your set of beliefs doubtful, so you want to be able to reject that. Or maybe you also want to, maybe you have you believe in the truth based on reason, but you also want to just to increase your certitude, I guess, or so you want to also establish the truth of the same reasons, the same beliefs based on reason rather than just revelation. So these are a few possibilities. So, but whether these happens always or not, we don't know, because not all types of faith firstly make claims to truth. Or not the truth which is, truth in the exclusive sense of true or false. So that's the first thing. And obviously not all faiths are based on revealed truths or revelations. So when we are talking about all the ages of faith are ages of rationalism, we're basically talking about those religions like Christianity, Islam, or even Hinduism, which have developed philosophical, or Judaism developed philosophical systems, philosophical or scholastic systems. So only those sort of faiths are faiths which develop what generally in the context of Islam and Christianity, in the context of Islam you can say al-kalam, and in the context of Christianity you can say scholastic theology. It's also known as dogmatic theology, just to differentiate it from theology, which is part of philosophy in Aristotle's, or actually bulk of what philosophy is for Aristotle is really theology. And that sort of theology is not only different from Christian and Islamic theology in the sense that it is exclusively based on reason, supposedly, but also for Aristotle theology doesn't just deal with God, but all sorts of heavenly um, objects which are supposed to be divine. So probably we should say that Whitehead's claim is true about certain type of faiths, and they develop certain things, certain disciplines, such as al-kalam, scholastic theology, which make use of conceptual tools, rational argumentation, at par with what philosophy does. We'll come to how to differentiate philosophy from those disciplines in a minute. So it is true that the Christianity and Islam they develop rational systems, which do a lot of things which philosophers do, and that's one thing. And secondly, within the discipline which prosper in Christian civilization, Islamic civilization, philosophy proper also prosper, at least in certain stages of those civilizations. Let's say in late medieval ages, and even if philosophy doesn't, the cognate related disciplines like logic and those, we cannot think of the rise of modern civilization without in Europe, for example, Christian educational institution, whatever Europe learned in terms of literacy and all other disciplines, it did through Christian institution. After all, these universities mostly came out of Christian seminaries, and the Christian monks and the Christian saints and the Christian priests were also scholars, and they were also running bureaucracies. The same with the Islamic world up to like Mughal period in India, for example. So that's true that the age of faith of the type we are talking about is also leads to development of certain type, of rationalism. But again, rationalism is a vague term. By rationalism we mean discipline which are based exclusively on experience and reason. And then obviously debate about the limits of reason. So you generally also get to groups of empiricists and rationalists among scholastics in the same way as you get in philosophy. So in that sense, it is correct to say that the ages of reasons are, the ages of faith like that of Christianity and Islam and maybe Judaism are also, or Hinduism are also ages of reason, but I'm not sure you can say the same about all types of faith. Anyway, let's move on. But to rationalize faith is not to admit the superiority of philosophy over religion. Now, how does but to rationalize faith? What do we mean by rationalizing faith? So, firstly, we say the ages of faith are ages of rationalism. And I guess by rationalization we mean providing rational foundation of faith, or reinterpreting faith according to rational dictates. So that can be a rationalization of faith. So, but to religion, but to rationalize faith is not to admit the superiority of philosophy over religion. Okay, so it seems like it's assuming that this rationalization is due to philosophy. And in a sense, philosophy is needed to develop, especially logic and philosophy as well, or at least that's how historically it turned out in Islam and Christianity. You need some sort of philosophy. In the case of these religions, there's philosophy. That philosophy was Greek philosophy, or certain type of Greek philosophy as interpreted by Muslim and Christian thinkers over various stages in the development of the civilization. So whenever we talk about rationalization or rational development within faith-based civilizations, philosophy comes about. In these two cases, it came from outside. In a sense, it didn't develop out of. At least that's the narrative anyway. But that doesn't mean that philosophy has superiority over. That's what he's saying, has superiority over, or philosophy or religion admits superiority to philosophy over religion. Now here Iqbal taking philosophy and religion almost at par, in the sense that there's a religion, and religions make claims to truth, and then philosophy also makes claim to those sort of truth, and religion at times, uses philosophy to establish the truth of its dogma or its belief system. But that doesn't mean that religion will give or will accept superiority of philosophy. Well, it's a certain interpretation of religion may, in a sense, like Mothos and some Mothos, I guess, and some Christian thinkers as well. I mean, Thomas Aquinas comes close to it. So, philosophy, no doubt, but to rationalize faith is not to admit the superiority of philosophy over religion. Yeah, I mean, it's not as if We can talk about philosophy in two ways. Philosophy as a discipline and philosophy as a counter narrative which aspires to the same mantle which religion tries to claim. In a sense, their subjects are the same. I mean, Aristotle's theology deals with similar sort of matters, which with the core religious beliefs of Christianity and Islam deals with. So in that sense, it's true that they can be competing forces. But on the other hand, it's not as if philosophy has invented reason or experience, or even religion has invented revelation or other type of extraordinary experiences. Those experiences are there in all human societies in one way or another. They are developed differently in different society to the different level of complexity, but they are there. They aren't invented by philosophy as such, and they aren't invented by religion as such. So reason is a faculty of human mind. Experience is a faculty of human mind, and revelation may not be a faculty, but it is the humans who have at least some capability from grace of God or whatever to receive that. So these are all sources of knowledge. So we shouldn't confuse sources of knowledge with various results of those sources. So whether philosophy has superiority over religion or not, or whether religion has superiority over philosophy, I think that depends on not on religion in itself or philosophy in itself, on the type of civilization, the type of society in which they function. So if a society is, so in a sense, there's philosophy, if we put in this way, philosophy and religion, they are competing forces. If we put in this way, they are competing forces. Philosophy would say truth, the way to access truth is reason and experience, and religion would say no, it's revelation, reason and experience in that. But once in a civilization one way of thinking or another or the other has triumph, and society is molded in one way or another, then that constitution will demand or decide whether religion is the ruling force or philosophy is the ruling force. And then within those broader civilization, different disciplines will develop different disciplines. So philosophy as a discipline should be differentiated from philosophy as this umbrella term which we are using in order as a competing force against religion for some sort of ultimate mental or some sort of a deciding or vetoing power. So yeah, so I think we should stop here and we'll continue from here next time.